Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode of Politixing. This episode is titled It's Over, the Trump-Elon divorce. So, we've been seeing it coming for a while now, the increasing deterioration of the relationship between Trump and Elon. I wouldn't really blame anyone that didn't notice that because it's just been a crazy few months now since Trump has been elected. So there are a lot of things to keep track of. So I wouldn't really blame someone that didn't notice, that didn't pay attention to this particular aspect of the second Trump presidency. I was actually, personally, I was keeping track of it, but I didn't expect it to implode at this moment. I was actually planning for my next episode to talk about something related to AI. I guess this is sort of a spoiler alert for the next episode of Politixing. We're going to be talking about AI. And its influence, especially on the labor market, let's say. I had also a long time ago planned to talk about the Wisconsin Supreme Court election, the one that had seen the heavy implication of Elon Musk, and that had resulted in his loss, or rather the loss of the candidate that was being endorsed by Elon Musk, right? Like we all remember that rally where he wore a cheese hat, and so forth. So there was a time where I considered talking about it, but and I wanted to especially talk about how that had impacted his relationship with Trump, but I never got to do that because I thought the subject was not interesting enough, and I got into other topics that I wanted to explore on the podcast. But this recent resurgence of a feud between the two kind of has me. It kind of puts me in a position where I have to talk about it because I think it's important. I think it is a very important step in analyzing the relationship between Trump and Elon. So at the moment I'm recording this episode, things have kind of cooled down. Elon ended up bending the knee. How disappointing. It was a positive thing for him to have revolted in the way he did, because it's sort of showed the limits of Trump's power, right? Like we always thought of Trump as having close to absolute power over the people that serve him, and Elon being obviously a really influential person, powerful person, in him being the wealthiest man on earth. He kind of burst that bubble, right? He kind of showed that people could go after Trump in a rather brutal way, as he did, and kind of come out unscathed. Now, right now it might be too early to say whether he really came out unscathed, but so far he hasn't really suffered grave consequences, right? Except losing access to the president, which he hasn't totally lost, by the way. So just a quick refresher. So Elon suggested that Trump should be impeached, right? Like during the time he was openly beefing with the president. He outright suggested that Trump should be impeached and that J.D. Vance should replace him. he said that Trump couldn't have won the 2024 election without him. I mean, there have been a lot of speculation about that specific statement, but I mean, it regardless of what is implied or what we can infer from that statement, it is no less an important statement, right? Suggesting that he is the sole reason, or the most important reason why Trump won. And most importantly, and the bombshell, as he himself called it, he outright called Trump a pedophile, right? He suggested that he was implicated in the Epstein file, right? The infamous Epstein files, and that this is why Attorney General Pam Bondi has been reluctant to publish them, right? So he basically called Trump a pedo on the timeline, right? So, and on Trump's side, he hasn't really been as ferocious as we've known him to be, right? When it comes to parting ways with former collaborators, he didn't call him an idiot, or he didn't he didn't go after the low-hanging fruit, which he could have, because we all know that Elon Musk has a rather messy life, and it's a life that offers many such low-hanging fruits, but he didn't really go for the jugular. Instead, I think the most important thing that he said was that he fired him, one, and that two, he wasn't ruling out revoking SpaceX's government contracts, right? So that's kind of been like as far as Trump has gone, which is itself surprising, seeing the way that Elon didn't hesitate to go after him. So usually, like, we would have expected Trump to be more ferocious, but I guess things are different this time. So I will begin, as I said in my introduction, by having us make a short trip in memory lane and go back to the time where to the time of the Wisconsin's Supreme Court election, right? Obviously, like we know how it ended. It ended with a sound defeat of the Trump-Elon backed candidate, and I think, and that is, it's speculation, but it's not unwarranted speculation. You know what I mean? I think that election was the starting point of their divorce, right? Because, I mean, Trump, he is not that bright, right? And I think that's, and the reason why I'm about to say what I'm about to say is that I'm going from statements that Trump made. I think that Trump sincerely believed that Elon had kind of twisted things to make him elected, right? Like, we all know about that story where Elon shows up to a sort of like party that was organized for on the night of the election, and I think it's a story that was told by Joe Rogan, if I'm not mistaken. But the story goes that Elon shows up, and very early on election day, he's playing with his computer or checking something on his computer, and then it just goes, "Oh, it's done. Trump won," and then he closes his computer and leaves the party, right? And so I think that that kind of attitude kind of led Trump, who is not a very bright person, right, to kind of conclude that Elon had done something to get him over the line. And there were some comments that Trump made, that kind of suggested that he subscribed to such a view, right? We remember the comments where he was praising Elon's ability with computers, right? Specifically with election computers, right? And I also think that is the reason why Trump has been so differential towards Elon, right? Like we know that Trump isn't usually differential to many people, right? Like to most people, but it's been strangely differential to Elon this time. And I think that he really believed that Elon had access to some kind of genius that would make him able to alter the fate of elections, right? And so when he, and by he I mean Elon, when he loses, when his candidate loses the Supreme Court election in Wisconsin, I think Trump really falls off a cloud, because I think he realizes that Elon isn't in fact that magician that can just produce election win after election win, right? He's not a genie, right? He can fail, right? When it comes to election, and we all know Trump's fascination, like almost childish fascination, with quote unquote victors, right? He likes people that win. He likes winners. And I think that Elon losing on such a big stage kind of make him lose respect for Elon. Now, it is silly. It is the mark of a mind that is not that brilliant, right? To judge a man like Elon on one single performance, being that particular election. But hey, it's Trump, right? He's not the sharpest pencil in the backpack, right? And so that's been my speculation, that election was the real beginning of the end, because Trump realized after the election that he didn't really have the insurance that he thought he had. And if you analyze the timeline of their relationship, you can clearly see that after the election, their relationship was never the same, right, compared to before that election. So there's been a lot of speculation about why this divorce has been as brutal as it has been, right, with those very public tweets sent by Trump as well as Elon, although Trump posted on his website, Truth Social thing, but we understand each other. There's been a lot of speculation about why that happened. A lot of people speculated, including Trump, by the way, that Elon was mad because of the EV tax credit situation that Trump had cut as part of his newly proposed budget. But I don't actually think, I personally don't actually think that it was the reason, simply because it seemed to be something that Elon was very comfortable with, and Trump even said as much on multiple occasions. I don't think that Tesla is a company that truly relies on them as much as people think, right? It might have been the case at some point, but I doubt that it is still the case. So I think that Tesla could take some damage from such a measure being implemented, but I don't think that it is a matter of life and death for Elon. What I think was more likely the reason behind this explosion was that Elon sincerely believed in his Doge mission to cut spending. Right? Obviously, we know that his real motivation was to cut as much spending as possible, so as to mitigate the effects of the tax cut that Trump was supposed to deliver. But I guess he was quickly disillusioned, because the proposed budget that the Trump administration put forward actually increased the deficits. That is, it's increased public spending by a lot more than Doge, that Elon and his Doge Department of Government Efficiency managed to cut. So I think that's what sent him over the edge. And his reaction was classic Elon, right? Just irrational, just throwing things at the wall, just crazy, right? So I think Elon probably has the feeling that he got played, right? Because here you have this guy that was hired to cut out the quote-unquote waste, fraud, and abuse, right? I mean, even though his mission actually proved more than disproved that there was not that much waste, fraud, and abuse. And in fact, there was a whistleblower within Doge that said as much very recently, right? That he was surprised by how efficient he realized the government already was, right? And that kind of undermines the whole mission statement of Doge itself. So probably feels like he's being played, Elon, that is. He probably feels like he probably felt like many of his proposed cuts were gonna be ignored, and being the CEO of very important companies, he probably isn't used to having his recommendations be so blatantly ignored, because that's what Trump did. He just blatantly ignored them, and this is why we end up with this big, beautiful spending bill. So I think that's more likely a reason behind his crash out. So what's gonna happen from this point on? Well, first of all, Doge is dead, right? I mean, its actions, many of its actions will outlive the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Right, we can imagine that many of the firings and many of the social wrongs that were put in place by Doge will probably stay, because I mean, this is a Republican government, it's a Republican cabinet, it's a Republican Senate, and it's a Republican House, and so I think them being more sympathetic to the idea of purging the administrative state, I think there are good reasons to think that that many of their cuts, the Doge cuts, will stay, even though the organization itself will just remain an empty shell. So that's the first. That's the first thing. Second, I think that we ought to expect more character assassination coming from the Trump administration and the MAGA movement in general towards Elon. Right, we've already seen some of that with with Trump and his entourage, with these people heavily hinting at Elon's, let's say, unusual drug consumption. We've already started seeing a lot of talks about how much drug he consumes, and how and how it impacts his ability to work. Right, we've heard about the impact that this cocktail of drugs that he consumes has on his bladder, for instance. I mean, these are stuff that you will expect to be confidential, but they've been leaked. They've been leaked to the media. Actually, they were leaked even before the divorce was consummated. But I think we ought to expect some more of that, right? Like secrets about Elon being leaked and whatnot. I think another thing is that Elon's influence will vastly be diminished within the White House. Um, and we are already seeing signs of that. Although I will pump the brakes of anyone celebrating too soon, I don't think that it will totally vanish. Just because, as I said before, we are dealing with a very powerful person, right? He's the richest man on earth, and he is still the person that signed a really huge check to enable Trump's re-election as the 47th president. So I think I think they've both made the calculation that it was better to be in a passive peace than in an active conflict. Obviously, we've seen Elon trying to amend himself and trying to get back into the good graces of the president, but I don't think that Trump is going to let him back into his circle of trust anytime soon. So I think what we are likely to see going forward is just this passive peace where Trump, probably knowing that he would stand to lose a lot in him losing such a powerful ally, will not try to do anything crazy, and the same thing goes for will go for Elon, I'm sure. And I think we are about to see Elon deal with the issues within his company by his own this time. I'm really doubtful that we will see more moments like the one we saw where Trump was basically doing a commercial on the White House lawn for Tesla. I think the involvement of the Trump administration behind Elon Musk's personal companies will severely dwindle. And I mean, if you're an investor in one of Elon's companies, I'll be very cautious now, because we're about to see him deal with the damage that his companies have taken as a result of his political positions. And something tells me that he is about to have a hard time, right? Whether we're talking about SpaceX or Tesla, which has already been hit by a quite serious boycott movement from even its customers. So something tells me that he's in trouble with this company. So if you're an investor in one of his companies, I would recommend caution. And this brings us to talking about Elon's legacy as a temporary government worker. I mean, Bill Gates said it best. I mean, the picture that I think will remain stamped forever on Elon's legacy, which might even eclipse his legacy in other things, right? Including tech entrepreneurship and the likes. I think it's the picture of the richest man on earth destroying the lives of unfortunate people, right? We've already heard countless stories of people whose Doge cuts, people who are directly impacted by Doge cuts on a significant level, including death, right? And on top of that, there are all the firings that he did, the illegal firings, because we must remind each other that those cuts were illegal in the sense that he didn't have the rights to do so. So, I mean, he's probably looking into some serious legal issues in the future. But I mean, I think that is what will remain as the symbol of his time in government. It's just pitiful. It's pitiful that someone that had such a stellar trajectory as stellar and admirable as his, just destroyed all of that in the span of a year. It's incredible. Actually, more than a year, but you get what I'm saying. It's incredible. And he did that to himself, and for what reason? Alienating his main customers. For what? Well, I guess that is a question that he alone can answer. So, where do I stand on this whole Trump v. Elon thing? Well, I'm not a big fan of Trump. I think that's obvious. But I kind of stand with him on this whole fight over the budget, simply because Elon's proposals are just insane, right? I mean, this is a person that would, I'm sure, unironically propose cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, right? And Social Security, right? I mean, just insane ideas, insane proposals. And the fact that, as I said before, I believe that his problem with the Trump's budget is that it doesn't cut enough of these programs, kind of put him on my bite side. So in this conflict, I will root for Trump. I will root for Trump, even if I still believe that he's the worst president of our lifetime, right? But kind of kudos to him, I guess, for having stood up to Elon on this specific issue. And Elon should, I don't know, he should try to get some sort of help. His behavior is abnormal, and I'm surprised that the board of his companies let him get away with that. But, well, we all know how his board is constituted, so that's already something that, I mean, his board reprimanding him is something that we're not likely to see anytime soon. Yeah, so this was it. I just wanted to drop a quick comment on the Trump-Elon situation. I'm still preparing my episode on AI, which I'm hoping to finish very soon, and so see you guys soon. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay well, and see you on the next episode of Politixing. Thank you for having stuck with me until now, and goodbye. See you at the next episode.